Hi guys, welcome back to Sharkat. Today we are doing a full glam makeup transformation. So let's just begin. So I am just starting with a face moisturizer from Clinique, and then I'm using the Dior Air Flash Spray Foundation in shade 301 and just blending that all over her face using the number 12 Dior brush. Then I am taking a beauty blender and just making sure all that foundation is really set into her skin. Then taking the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer in shade Light Pale, I just want to lighten these areas just to accentuate it, and then taking the Beauty Blender again just to make sure all the concealer is blended. Then I am taking the Kat Von D Lock It In Concealer Cream in a lighter shade to brighten the under eyes a little more and just blend that out with a Beauty Blender. Then taking the cream contour called Shade in the Tarte's Pro Glow palette, I just want to define her face in these areas and blend everything out with a beauty blender. And then I just want to set everything with a powder from the MAC Studio Fix Powder in shade C2. And then I'm going to just bake her under eyes with the Laura Mercier translucent powder to set the concealers. And then I am going to be taking the Tarte Amazonian Clay Bronzer in shade Park Avenue Princess just to warm up her face a little more and to set the cream contour. And then after, I'm just brushing off the excess powder from underneath her eyes. Now time for blush. I am using the MAC Sheer Tone Blush in shade Peaches and just putting that on her cheeks and blending it out. And then I'm using the Pro Glow palette again to highlight with the shade Strobe on her cheeks and the bridge of her nose and her Cupid's bow. And then after, I'm just defining her eyebrows with the Benefit Cobra Cream Gel in shade 5. She has very sparse eyebrows, but I'm just following the shape of her eyebrows, her natural shape, and just going with a few light strokes. Then I'm taking the Maybelline Eyebrow Gel just to set her eyebrows. And then I am taking the primer just to prime her eyelids and lighten up her eyelids for the eyeshadow. The eyeshadow palette that I used for this eye look was Modern Renaissance from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and the first color I chose was Burnt Orange as a transition color on her eyelids, and I just used a fluffy brush just to spread that on her crease on both eyes. And then I took from the same palette a darker orange called Real Gar and just put that on the outer edges of her eyelids just to define her eyes a little more. And then I picked up a much darker color called Red Ochre, hopefully I pronounced that right, and just blended that into her crease a little more just to start transitioning into a slight smoky eye. And then I used the same fluffy brush just to blend out the edges. I also picked up a little more of that transition color, Burnt Orange, just to make sure there's no harsh edges. And then for the palette Moon Dust from Urban Decay, I used the color Lithium all over her eyelid. This is a very bronzy color and goes very well with the orange tone of the smoky eye. Then back to the Modern Renaissance palette, I picked up a brown color called Cypress Umber and used that in a crease just to darken it up a little more and transition it towards the bronzy color. And using the same fluffy brush, I just want to make sure every color is blended out and that there are no harsh lines. And for the eyeliner, I use the Inglot Gel Liner. And I just use a tiny, very tiny brush to make sure the eyeliner is very precise. And then I'm just using the telescopic mascara from L'Oreal Paris. And then for eyelashes, I'm just using a very natural pair from Kiss. And then for the lips, I wanted to do a very classy look because it went well with the eyes, so I chose red, since this is the first time she was wearing this much makeup. And so I used a red liner, and then for the lipstick, I used the Chanel La Fascinante number 38. And this was just a very classic red, and it went very well with the eye look. And then I just added some gloss. This is also Chanel, and this is just a clear gloss just to make her lips look a little more hydrated. And then I just cleaned up the edges with a little bit of concealer and a tiny precise brush. And then I took a darker red toned lip liner just to define her lips a little more. And then here I'm just fixing up her hair that I pre-curled earlier. And just making sure all the frizz and all the little baby hairs are away. And then we revealed the look to her. She was very, very happy and surprised at seeing herself this way. Hope you guys enjoyed this transformation, and please don't forget to subscribe.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Friday night and I want